Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a cat portrait. I'm going to use a lot of knife for this. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I may start bringing them back every once in a while anyway. But we'll see. So it's kind of just a one-off for today. So I have a big, beautiful, fluffy cat and a outdoor sort of yard scene that he's going to be sitting in. I've got a really gorgeous mock-up that I'm going to share. You can laugh at my not Photoshop. I use Affinity Photo skills. They're not great, but that's not due to a software issue. It's just due to my level of like care that goes into this. But I just wanted to kind of lay out so that I know where I was putting some colors, and so I kind of bashed this together out of a few different photos. Yeah, but I'll do all the things that make it look good in the painting. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. I'm gonna start by sketching him out a little bit, and just kind of try to be fairly careful with some of the facial details from the start, not build up too much paint that I have to then work against later. But once I get him kind of outlined in, I'll sketch in the surroundings, which will be pretty loose and expressive, nothing too complicated, but just kind of get a sense of the light and the space that he's in. I think that should work fairly well, so yeah, I'm just gonna go give it a try. So for sketching him in, I think I'm gonna use my little filbert brush. Yeah, that'll work pretty well. I'm gonna just use some burnt sienna for that, I think. Yeah. So use a little bit of my lavender solvent. I'm just gonna, I'll put a few drops out just for convenience sake here. And sometimes for this sort of sketchy work, it's nice to just have a little bit on your brush and be able to grab a little bit of paint and mix into it. So I think this color will be a nice one in general for the whole thing. So I'm just gonna kind of put a couple dots in here just to get him placed. I don't normally do this, but I saw someone else do it the other day, and I thought it was a good idea. It's a way to get positioned without putting a lot of lines down first. If you can remember what they were for, though, that's the question. I don't know if I can. So, about here. It's looking down a bit, so. Nice. Maybe an ear lines about here. don't know, is this cheating? I think it will just help me not be struggling so much later. Not even really looking to do a lot of detail here. Just kind of want it in the right spot so I don't put any big blobs of paint in the way later. I could always scrape them off if I had to, but kind of a nice, it's a way of like doing a preview in a way too, for both, for me and for you. Just kind of figuring out what are the shapes that are going to really make this. Worry about the eyes just yet. Looks like a crazy critter right now, but it'll come together. Okay. And oh man. I'll just go ahead and sketch in this yard detail here. Street. Other stuff going on. Not forget to put some grass in there. Yeah, alright, I think it's time for some knife. So, start out. There's a lot of, it's actually like a very light photo in general. Fairly light scene. So I'm not gonna go too dark with anything, but I am gonna set in sort of a darker color and a lighter color. Maybe I'm just going to go into everything. Yeah, I'll set in a few shadows anyway. So for a darker color, I think I am going to use kind of a variation on this burnt sienna. I'm going to go with a little bit of raw umber and a little bit of this burnt sienna that's here, and maybe just a touch of alizarin, which might seem like a strange choice, but I think for this grass, since I'm going to end up going over a lot of this with green, it will actually be a nice color to kind of set off the lighter green. Just make the grass look a little bit better. Get a little extra depth. Even go a little bit warmer. I think for my light tone in this, I'm going to use the unbleached titanium pretty much as it is. So start laying this in here. I'm going to go right under here and go for foot shadow. I do a lot of like light and dark areas. So. and some dots in. And just make it a little bit more. I'm not gonna need too much of this. Really, because I think I'm gonna let a lot of it tend to be a bit lighter, but I'm gonna let this fairly dark on this side. Just brush this out a little bit. I like kind of, I don't know, lately laying in these darks this way has been nice. I think it helps me kind of not end up with white in places I don't want it. And like I said, it kind of helps me make a plan. I'm just gonna think about my lights and my darks and how my composition's gonna work. You know, the other way to do that, if you don't want to plan ahead, would be to, or you could basically do a whole test painting as a study and then do the whole thing in one shot, maybe a little bit differently, but because I don't really draft these, I just do them. And this is what works. Okay, that looks pretty good. Go a little. There. That's pretty good. All right, so take that, and then the next thing I'll do is mix up a little liquid light, we'll call it. And yeah, for that I'm going to use this unbleached titanium and a little bit of linseed oil and mix that. Start on my lightest areas right here. I've got a lot of great light right on the side of him. going in here again. I'm starting in all the areas that seem the lightest to me. Then I'm going to grab my brush and I'll move around and probably adjust some things, make some middle tones, and just kind of have a general layout. Oops. No problem. Grab this brush, work some of that out of there. Good. All right. Just kind of also looking at these and including just the general shapes I see. Sometimes just these little direction, these types of little bits you get in here can really, they can shine through the whole painting and really give it a lot of life. So in a way, it's almost like watching like a picture develop or something like that. I guess it is watching a picture develop. I'm just not. Not a photograph though. like the ground here. Get the grass here. Just kind of watching for those little squares. Just covering them all up. And creating like a little sense of movement in the whole thing. I know, my cat looks a little crazy, but it's gonna be okay. And that's just because I can get more detail where I don't put as much liquid down. I'm gonna fill him in a little bit, but I don't wanna. Actually, good with a little bit of canvas showing through here is actually not a bad thing. So it'll give me a little bit of room to work on it before it gets too slippery and I find it tough to add more detail. Cool. And a lot of white where I didn't really plan on it before, but that's okay. All right. Good. I'll wash this brush out and probably go into the background for a little bit. Just kind of get those shapes roughed in. Give my brush a clean. Probably won't use this big brush too much more. I think this might be all I need this one for. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to start working in. I think it looks like I'm going to need some grays. So I'll leave, I think all this stuff that's on the palette's pretty much fine. I'm going to bring a little bit of, let's say, dark back there. Maybe I'll bring in a little bit of Viridian into this alizarin burnt sienna, and maybe a little bit more of those. I'm just trying to make a gray that's sort of related to what I had before. Let me put a little blue into it too. This is kind of for, that's like some fencing and a little bit of plant stuff back here. It's a little hard to tell. It's the way I have it zoomed in exactly what it is, but I don't really need to know, honestly. Sometimes something like this, it's really just about creating an atmosphere. And I think I have a setting. So go across with the knife a couple ways. It's really good. And then I'm gonna need, I've got a darker green, which maybe I'll do. I got myself a nice big tube of ultramarine, so you know what? Let's get that out. I really like these big tubes of paint. At first, I was thinking I was going to replace them, but they're really handy. And for knife painting, you really do use a lot of paint, so having a good supply always makes it a little easier to just not worry about it and do what you need to do. I'll take a little of this unbleached titanium, and I've got this sort of blue shadow, and I'm also going to make a darker green, make a couple colors at once right now. So the green, take some ultramarine, and some of this cadmium yellow as well. Nice dark shadowy green over here. This little strip of grass that doesn't really have any light on it. That's gonna work pretty well for that. I'm just gonna go most of the way across here. It's gonna be pretty soft. Really don't. There's a lot of lines back here. Whenever you have a lot of lines, they can kind of compete with your subject. So I'm gonna leave these and try not to go too sharp. Again, it's for atmosphere more than it's for anything else. So to get this blue shadow out, just pop that in there. This runs all the way across. It's nice when you have a map, though. You don't have to worry quite so much about where everything is going. Okay. I've got another area over here. This is gonna be dark. Somewhat. I'm gonna put some lights in here too, but I think this bush actually, right now, I'm gonna focus on its darker areas. Really, I'm just trying to get this in so I have the cat framed out. Get a little bit more blue, a little white. Kind of lower here. See that? And I'm not mixing into all of my previous colors. I'm like kind of letting them be part of the story. And that's kind of like if you do paint just white over your whole canvas first, you're kind of actually doing the same thing. You're really just creating sort of another color that is going to offset all of your other colors. So the more you understand it, the more you can kind of iterate and do different things on your own. Like here. I can actually go a little warmer. Grab a little bit of alizarin. Just gonna work that in here. Just going toward kind of in an area for the darker tone and the lighter tone. I'm kind of putting in the dark tone because the lights are really easy to pop in later, and it's easy to lighten stuff up actually in oil painting. It's actually, it takes a little bit more restraint to keep your darks dark enough. That's what I find anyway. Probably everybody's different. Alright, so next up I've got, as I come forward, my greens are getting a little bit more intense. But not, I don't want to get them, I really don't want them to compete with the cat. I want them to be a little subtle. I want them to look healthy and bright, but not super bright. So I've got, before I go too far, I do actually want to just smooth this one out a little bit. Trying to get these knife marks to be kind of more straight and horizontal. I've got some areas where I worked it in between other things. They are kind of going in different directions, but it's not really what I'm after. There we go. Okay. So here, yeah, so we'll get a little bit more green. I've got this dark purple that I've laid in. I'm gonna try and go one step greener without going too far too green. So I'm gonna get I'll try this sort of warm green that I can make here. And try just putting in a little bit of that to start with. That warm layer is doing a nice job of bringing this dark. It's also letting it not get too bright green. It's putting in a shadow that complements what I have going on. I have to kind of make up these shadows because he was sitting on a couch in the picture that I was looking at. So I think this will work though. Actually, was sitting on the windowsill. Alright. That's coming along. Now, I think actually over here I'm going to go a little bit lighter with the grass just to have it kind of bring you into the picture. He's got some pretty strong light this way, and again I kind of mixed with the grass just to get it to. So when I want a nice yellowy green, I use cadmium yellow light. I'm gonna put this out on my palette, but I might actually try something else too. Yeah, I got this phthalo yellow green. And this is probably, it's going to be a little too strong. I'm just going to put it on my palette behind the Viridian. It's going to be a little too strong, but I'm wondering, it might be convenient to be able to dull it back. So I could make this, by mixing phthalo blue with the cadmium yellow light, but this is just kind of pre-mixed for making things a little bit simpler, but it's very bright, so I'm going to touch it down a little bit, make it a little bit more blue. With some ultramarine, and I'm going to actually put a little of this warm alizarin mix into it as well. Just start, see how that goes in here. Yeah, it's not too light, which is nice, but it does help me to start working in this grass. Pretty simple. A little bit more of that. And again, I'm letting that warm dark layer to dull back this bright green a little bit. Something I like to do, the other reason that works out really well is later on, as these first layers sort of dry and set up a little bit, you can go back in and you can put more of that same color on top, and then it will pop even brighter, which is just really cool. Just take this in here too. I love this big poofy tail. Big poofy tail too. Okay. Okay. Take a little bit of, just a touch of cadmium yellow and a touch of this unbleached titanium. And I've got a little bit of green on this knife, but I actually don't think it will hurt anything. No, it looks just fine. Just want to go back in here. There's a little bit of a light, more golden highlight. The sun's really hitting here. So I'll start bringing that in. Take a little bit of this phthalo yellow green, a little bit of cadmium yellow light, or actually just regular cadmium across this little edge of a curb over here. And working on a couple of these other little highlights here. I'm not even barely mixing this. I got the light and I've got some there we go. And here I'll take some a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, just kind of rough that in here for this plant. Don't worry, I'll get to the cat too. There we go. Pretty cool look to it, I think. I think I'm gonna take a little break soon. I'm trying to just get to a good spot for that. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little break. I'll be back in a few. Or like right away for you. And then I'm back. I like how this guy's coming along so far. It's really looking good actually. So I think I'm gonna go in with the brush just a little bit and just kind of refine some shapes. And just work on the overall sort of drawing of it a bit. It's got, I'm liking the feel of it overall. I think it's kind of nice. Kind of creating some of this grass texture here. Some of these areas I don't actually want to be too textural. Just kind of like mulch space. It's got a pretty nice look to it though. Here we have some grass. I think this will be texture that I'll probably pick up after a little bit more dry time on it. But just kind of working it in here now. I'm just kind of bringing these blades of grass in here. There we go. Some of this I'm just kind of creating a little bit of softness around these edges too. I'm gonna obviously bring the fur out a little bit, but plants here. Is that a good look? Blurring this out a little bit more. I love this kind of sunny area and this shaded area. How they kind of run together. Kind of the same thing with these. Looking pretty good. Beat this shadow a little bit, just smoothing it out. Just leave it up a little softer. Will be nice. Like the too much texture in the background can get a little bit distracting. So let's see about painting our friend Totoro here. I'll switch back to knife and gonna mix up some colors. I really like these colors so far that I have used. But so far the colors I have actually they're really close. I think they're working really well. So it actually shouldn't take too much more for me to model him out. Like he's actually got basically a lot of the right shapes going on. The face obviously will take some more work, but yeah, I'm starting with that. So go ahead and take, I'm going to make a slightly sort of gray tone for inside his ear here. Start just marking those sorts of spots out. Like a lovely softness to him overall. So I'll try and I'm not gonna go super dark with him. He's already a little bit on the dark side just because he's in kind of a shady area. But I don't want him to look too shadowy, so probably boost him up just a little bit. I didn't do this in my editing mock-up phase just because I wanted to just judge it in the paint a little bit more. I'm just more comfortable with that, so just got this here with a little bit of a darker pink tone there. I need some. Let's do some raw umber and a little bit of burnt sienna. Yeah, it's in the middle of that green pile, but that's okay. Just grab a little bit of linseed oil for that too. Nose is probably a little high. That's okay. A little burnt sienna. I'll take even a little cad red light here. This might be a little crazy, but and maybe just a touch. A little bit more burnt sienna. These couple of spots are like really orangey though. Just want to get that in there. Probably layer over it. Sometimes I like putting like a really saturated color in though, just to let it sort of peek back out. I feel like sometimes these sort of redder tones, it's the best way to work with them. Just to get them in there kind of fearlessly first. Oh, what a sweet face. Okay, and then I've got kind of a gray. I'm going to make just a little bit of ultramarine into this raw umber. And then I'm going to bring it up with a little bit of white. That's pretty nice. I'm just going to bring that in here. This shadow that's really helping show the shape of his face. A lot of fairly subtle color shifts here. Go a little bluer still. Little area here. I really love painting white fur. It's like one of my favorites. It's challenging, but it's also like really satisfying when you get it right. It's kind of the same thing as painting snow, where it's just if you get to look at all the little colors, every little place it changes, and if you just kind of trust it and go and put them in, eventually it just pops out and you have it. At least that's how I feel about it usually. Need a little bluer here. Try that first. Some of these types of shapes in here. And once I get the shadows kind of placed in here, then I can go in and put the white fur over, and it's just like nice. That's how I feel about it anyway. Okay, so this area, We're getting a little bit more darkness over here. Okay, I'm not going with any sharp edges here because I know fur and the grass will be all sort of mixed together. Okay, maybe a little bit more of that kind of cool gray. I'm gonna add a little bit of that. That being the unbleached titanium, and a little bit of ultramarine. And I'm going to need a little bit of a warmer variation. A little burnt sienna. May have been too much. Just knock it back with a little bit more. Unbleached titanium. A little linseed oil. And just kind of, yeah, I just kind of want to work a little of one. A little of one, a little of the other. Here, it's kind of same idea. I need to go a little darker, a little raw umber, a little burnt sienna. Maybe even, yeah, that's pretty nice. I go one little touch of alizarin too. Just make it a slight bit redder. This is for this area down here. Near this paw. This is good. It's good to practice learning to see and also how to make decisions, I think. It makes a big difference. Okay. That's good. Go back in here. Just gonna do a little bit more. Just kind of start modeling a couple of shapes a little bit better. Some of these edges here. Just how his foot looks. He's got a little bit of a light area there. This little edge coming in. So just having a little bit of white. Bring that in. I'll do the same thing in a couple of spots, actually. And that's because I didn't start with a white as a background layer. I started with that unbleached titanium. Now this white is going to really stand out. Still mixing in a little bit though. So it gives me some room. That looks pretty good. And then I can kind of come in here to start. Everywhere I see the direction of the fur, I just kind of start putting in a little bit of an edge. And then I can kind of come back over it, do a little bit more. Here I'm going to be careful in between to keep wiping my brush, because what I don't want to do is bring the green back into the cat. So I'm able to make a nice soft edge there. Let's see, just brought a little back in. Try not to. Just always looking at these little bits of fur that he's got, and just making sure that I'm trying to make my brush strokes go in the same direction. He's got some little fluffs there. You don't really even have to draw all of these little hairs, but even if they don't show up, they're nice. They're really nice for just having the texture in there. And then you can always go and catch them with a couple highlights afterwards. That's kind of part of why I like doing this. It's a really fun way to paint fur. I think that there's a lot of ways to paint fur that are, I don't know, they just feel really tedious. And I mean, maybe nothing's a super simple way to do it, but to me this feels kind of simple and fun compared to a lot of alternatives. Okay, and here I don't see as much of the fur texture, because a lot of this fur is a lot shorter here, so I'm just using the flat side of my brush, and I'm going to put in a little bit, but not doing as much. Doing the same thing right here. Very good. There we go. Take a little bit of attention to his eyes here. And just try and get these shapes right. They're pretty close. But now it's time to get into it. I guess. Really get into it. The nice thing about like pre-mixing all your colors like this is like getting them out on the palette is you can kind of be in like a mixing mode and then be in a more detail-oriented painting mode afterward. It's kind of a nice way to go. In here. I love these little edge highlights. It's always really satisfying. And then a little bit top of the head like that too. Just going right in with white for a little bit here, and again it's mixing into the previous layer, so it's not going too bright. I'll still be able to go brighter than this, but I want to start making sure I've got the shapes worked out. It's pretty good. A little bit of a bluer light here. The chin's kind of more defined by going from kind of a brown to a blue, and going from really a dark to a white. Just a little bit of white there. And then on the other side, it's a little bit darker. Some paint on my arm. It's okay. It happens. Once they're paint clothes, they're kind of always paint clothes. Fortunately, a little soap and water, it comes off your skin pretty good. Bringing that texture back across. There we go. A little darker right here. I realize this ear it's a little funny because it's actually because it's tipping forward. Gotta go. It's kind of a light edge here. A little bit more white. Just kind of simplifying some of these shapes here. I've got a few more edges than I actually want. Bring that lighted area down just a little further here. Might be a time for a little setup break too. Say, okay, a slightly lighted up area here too. It's probably a little strong, but that's actually not too bad. Simplifying this a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more definition into it, but I think for right now it's feeling a little unwieldy, and I just don't want to create a whole bunch of lines that I don't want. Right here, cheek, where I want to just make it turn a little bit here. I think it needs a little bit of that blue, yeah. And actually, a little bit more of it right in here too. I think what's happening is there's some sort of blue reflected light on this side, and kind of helps you build up the sense of what's happening over here. Here we go. Starting. I think it's definitely it's an element of getting through the awkward stage, especially I think with all faces. You just have to expect it. We kind of pick up on things being wrong in a face in a way that we don't in almost anything else. A landscape that's a little off, you don't really mind. You don't notice the same way. Make it darker. A little shadow color here. I know that as I put these colors on with the brush too, they don't go in quite as dark, so I can push them a little bit further. Just trying to create a sort of bright shadow shape here. This nose actually needs to come over a little bit. straight down from the nose. Got this little bit of chin. Yeah, kept getting that chin spot in kind of the wrong place. I think I had the nose just off a little bit. It's better if you get everything right the first time, but it's better to move things if you don't. This. Just gonna pop it in some transition colors too. So if you know you need something to look a little less sharp, if you mix up the color that's sort of in between the two colors, and then put it right along that edge, we'll make it look a little softer. It's kind of the main, the main thing about doing portraits actually is just getting all those transitions right, whether it's a cat portrait or a people portrait. Green in here. Just trying to get this edge in place. Between this background and this foreground. It's pretty good. Okay. Doing the same thing over here. I think that red background on the grass was really actually a good idea. I'm gonna remember that. All these orange pieces of grass, but on the whole, that seems to be working really well. Just, if I'm careful, I don't have that problem. All right. Really trying to get these. There's only a few, like, really important details, I think, sometimes in any of these, and that's like, it's just getting it exactly. The right shape here and there. putting in a couple of little light up leaves. Sometimes these things are to just throw in while everything's still wet so they don't stand out too much. Oh, you had this bird feeder back here, that's right. Alright, I'm putting the bird feeder in. I'm just gonna sketch it in. I feel like, maybe it's not a bird feeder, maybe it's a light. I'm putting it in anyway. I would feel like he would really like to watch that, maybe. Just a little bit of light, a little bit of blue. It's a little bit lighter toward the bottom. It's good. I just want it to kind of sit in there. I don't want it to be too expressive. I just want it part of the background. That's pretty simple. Alright. Back up for a second. There's definitely some things that are not quite perfect here, but I think I'm about at a good stopping place before I get tempted to rush anything. Something about this little, that might be it right there. I'm gonna save my sort of strongest whites for when I come back, though. So finish the details on the eyes at that point, too. I was just talking about not doing reckless things to make a mess. That might have been one of those things. I just noticed there's this little streak though. That's kind of doing a good job of like framing the eyes. And I wanted to get it in there. While I was still working with wet paint, so I think it might have been worth it. Alright. Alright. Just like a pretty good stopping point. I'll be back in a few. All right. Well, hello. And I'm back. It's coming along pretty good. I think that. A lot of things are getting pretty close. A lot of it, I think that at this point is just going to be a little bit of adjustment with details and just kind of bringing the light, bringing in the softness. Keep working on the face and try and get it really good. It's probably just a little bit wet still, but it's set up nicely, so everything should blend, but not be quite so messy as when I left it yesterday. Yeah, I want to do a little bit of work with the grass. Just kind of keep working on that texture a little bit. grass, the fur. I'm just kind of have everything kind of feeling like it's in the same space. The other thing I was thinking about is, since I've moved him outside, I'm thinking about having just a little bit more of like the effect of a breeze kind of hitting the fur as I'm kind of working through it. I don't know if it will even be particularly necessary, but it's just something I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'm just gonna get into it and try and get it finished up. So I think this dark area behind the tail here isn't quite right. I want to bring a little bit more. I've got some light coming in over here. I'm kind of trying to think about a light angle actually. A lot of the light's kind of coming from back here. So I'm gonna just bring a little bit more light to this area here. Doesn't really make any sense that that's dark unless there's maybe the shadow from the house. Here I put the shadow of the cat in here. Probably a little, this area will be a little bit darker. Probably work into a little bit of darkness in here just to get him a little bit more nestled into this spot as well. Yeah, alright. Start by mixing up a few colors. Actually gonna try and use this little knife while I'm fresh. I'm gonna start bringing in a little bit more shape to the eyes and the face, actually. I think that might be a good place to start. I feel like a lot of the grass stuff that I want to do is going to be pretty easy. So I think if I can get the face kind of wrapped up early, that will probably be kind of nice. So I've got this unbleached titanium. I'm mixing in a little bit of regular titanium white. Just going to go into this little highlight on the nose. And just try and get some of these shapes here a little bit more worked out. Like this. I'm looking at the face, I'm seeing these little circles here that are kind of in the cheek area. Just trying to get that same effect over here. A little bit of yellow ochre, a little touch of ultramarine. Just make a sort of grayer, darker version of this too. I feel like and go and put a little bit of burnt umber in here. Could go even a little bit darker. I was noticing that actually in some of these in between spots. There's actually a little bit of room for just a little bit more shadow. You have to swap to a brush for that, actually. The thing I wanted to do is just reshape this ear a little bit. I was noticing it's kind of cut in at a slightly funny angle. It's a little better. And then there's a little bit of dark. this little round brush. See about smoothing out just a little bit here. Just adjusting that eye angle just a little bit. It's really pretty eyes. A little blue, a little rock over. It's not quite as dark as I wanted. Maybe I'm gonna go a little alizarin, a little viridian. I think that one usually comes out a little bit darker. Very pretty eyes. Just taking a little touch of a little yellow ochre, a little bit of white. I could have actually, maybe just the yellow ochre actually would have been good. Just want to touch the sides of the eyes just a little bit here, just to kind of create the irises and then put the little sparkles in. A lot of times I wait till the last minute to do that, but I actually feel like this one soon is good. Okay. And then just putting in a couple of little highlights here. Pretty nice. A little bit. Grabbing a little alizarin, a little cadmium, and red light, and just a touch of burnt sienna. It's kind of the color I had started with right around the face early on. A lot of it got kind of mixed in and removed, so I'm just putting in a couple touches of it where I think it will be good to have still. That's pretty nice. Yeah, see, that's about right. Make the nose a little bit darker, especially in these little nostril areas. Got some whiskers I'm going to put in too, but I'm going to wait on those. Just kind of softening this edge a little bit more. A little bit more light down here, actually. Just kind of on top of the tail. A little bit more light in here. I should have just taken some of this paint that was there before. Just bring it in here. Okay. And here. A little more light. Softening that a little bit there. I like that shadow, but I didn't want it to be too strong. Trying to get the expression. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so now that I've got that, I feel like there's too much more to do. I think I wanted some of this light onto the fur on the back. I'll probably go back in and do a little bit more with the grass. Left that nice knife a little bit messy. Thinking about kind of softening this just a little bit here. I like the lines on it a little bit, but it's almost a little distracting too. Specifically in these areas that are really, really bright. They really need all those lines in them. I liked how it worked for moving the paint around and getting kind of that layered fur texture though, which was good. Sometimes it just takes a few different moves to get the right effect. Okay. I think in the shadows it works a little bit better. Alright. So I think it's pretty good. I think I am just gonna go over the grass a little bit here. Just bring a little bit more light through. For that grass color, I'm gonna take a little cadmium and a little bit of the phthalo green color that I had. This is the cadmium yellow medium. This one is not quite as, it wouldn't be quite as kind of electric looking as the cadmium yellow light would. I'm going to go back in with the brush and just touch it up a bit too. This is working pretty well for just getting the colors in. Have to be careful on going in around all this fur though. Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out. I made this area like a shadow, but I think it was really helping anything. So it's gonna lighten it up a little bit and let this kind of sun look come through. Try that out. Dragging this in here in between these little hairs that I have going on, just to sort of lighten that edge. I'll probably go over it with a little bit more of the fur after. Maybe not though. It might actually be, the soft edge might actually be really nice. Probably leaving it a little soft will bring more attention to the face, so that might not be even a bad thing. I'm just kind of doing my grass texture thing. I do like texturing with that filbert brush, but it does kind of make these, it makes a more sort of sharp look, which might not actually be ideal if you want it in areas that you're not drawing a lot of attention to, like this grass a little further back, a little bit rougher is actually kind of nice. And then here I've got actually a bit of sort of shadow. I don't want it to be quite so harsh. So I'm just mixing a little bit more of this green in here. I think that will help. Just warm it up just a little bit. Just gonna put a little bit of warmth into this sort of like mulched area as well. Relates a little bit to his face color. I think it actually helps kind of tie this whole thing together a little bit. I really like doing that, where you kind of find a color you used somewhere and then find other color relationships you can bring into it. Nice. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna make this will be kind of it's gonna be like a blue. Kind of a darker blue-green. Even grab a little viridian and a little ultramarine. And then I'll probably dull it back with a bit of brown. Let's see. This is going to be just to put some sort of darker blades of grass in here. Just kind of makes this shadow area kind of hang together a little bit. Okay. Pop back to that same brush here. I'm gonna leave a little bit of this knife texture here in some of these strokes, just because it's It's nice, it kind of ties the painting together in the way that it was created. But I don't want all of it to be really sharp, especially since there is a lot of softness in this painting. And these are just the kind of little personal opinions for how I do things. It's like everyone probably has those, I guess. Not dragging too much of this into the fur. A little bit's okay, but I want him to look like he's sitting here in the grass. Not have too much of like a pasted on look, but I also don't really want to make him messy either. I think that's pretty good. Just a little bit. Say. Might be about it. I kind of like it. I think it's kind of got a good look to it. And I think those dark strands of grass are kind of working nicely. Just to make that shadow sit where it is. All right. And step back one more time. Very good. I think the last thing is going to be to give him some whiskers. All right. A little nervous doing whiskers, but just go ahead and grab a little bit of white. Got quite a bit of linseed oil with this too. I just want these to go on nice and clean, so I'm gonna see this brush is like actually perfect for this though. Go. Then on the other side, I really can't see very much, but I'm going to just put a couple in too. A couple of these little ear ones. Softening this just a little bit here. That's kind of nice. All right. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next. Actually, one little thing. One more thing.